Hey there, I'm Johnny Mac with your daily comedy news. If you missed Sunday's episode, I did the Mount Rushmore of late night. I'm very happy with that episode. I'd appreciate it if you put some ears on that if you haven't already. Mike Birbiglia's special's out on Netflix today. Normally they come out on Tuesdays, but I guess they wanted to take advantage of us all being home and a rainy weekend in the Northeast. Normally Memorial Day, you'll find me on the beach all weekend, but 60 degrees and rainy, that ain't a good combination. The special is called The Good Life. Birbiglia talks about parents and pancakes. Played the trailer the other day. In it, Birbiglia says, when I was a kid, I always viewed my dad as larger than life. He was a doctor, and in his free time, he got a law degree. That's how much he didn't want to be a dad. It's another one of those Birbiglia one-man shows. I liked his earlier career better when he was just more pure stand-up. I'm not... It's funny. I really like the British one-man shows. For some reason, the Birbiglia ones don't connect with me. I understand other people like them. That's part of what comedy is. It's all subjective, but I never, love these. This one-man show sees Birbiglia open up about his dad's recent stroke and how it made Mike reevaluate his own parenting approach. Birbiglia began touring The Good Life in October, performed it 6 times in New York City at the Beacon Theater. Birbiglia says The Good Life is his most personal because it's not in my past, it's my life right now. At certain points during the tour, I literally thought on stage, whoa, am I really going to tell this story? But that's sort of the idea behind these shows. I try to probe into what's most painful in order to figure out what's most funny. Mike Birbiglia on Netflix today. Conan O'Brien, who might be on the Mount Rushmore of late night. Did you listen to Sunday's episode? Please do. If you haven't, I don't want to spoil it. If you heard it, you know the answer. When Conan signed off The Tonight Show on January 22nd, 2010, boy, 15 years already, wow, he said, please do not be cynical, I hate cynicism. For the record, it's my least favorite quality. It doesn't lead anywhere. Nobody in life gets exactly what they thought they were going to get, but if you work really hard and you're kind, amazing things will happen. Conan told The Today Show about 10 days ago. I believe that still, yeah, I think, man, who was that guy? That guy was smart. Has Conan actually watched the clip? Nope, never have. Can't do it. I'm proud of it, but I can't. It was just a lot. It was a lot. And that was a moment where I really did think, I don't know, maybe it's over for me. I really did, Conan talked about the Mark Twain Awards and said, I'm so grateful all those amazingly talented people came, and it meant a lot to me that David Letterman was there. It meant the world to me. As for his career, I wouldn't change a thing, honestly. I know people say that, but I wouldn't change a thing. I've been insanely blessed. I've had all my dreams come true 75,000 times over, and even in the dark moments, I've had gifts in them. I like to make people laugh. I get a lot of joy out of making people laugh. And if, when we wrap this up and go get coffee next door, I can make the person at the counter laugh, I'm happy. Recently, Ryan Reynolds was on Conan's podcast, and they reignited some Jay Leno conspiracy theories. Is Jay Leno on late night Mount Rushmore? Well, if you listen to yesterday's episode, you know the answer. If not, I encourage you to download it. I like this episode a lot. Please listen to it. So they were running long, and Conan told Ryan Reynolds, we have to wrap this up because we've kept you for far too long, and you're a man in demand. Sometimes I'm talking to absolute criminals in jail, and I say, you're one of my favorite people, and I believe you're innocent of those 19 murders, which you've confessed to. Ryan said, Jay Leno fell. I didn't push him. We're all looking for the Hampton Inn. Who doesn't look for a Hampton Inn when they're a millionaire? Conan was curious. You pushed him down that hill? They moved off that topic. Reynolds said of Conan, you're kind, you have integrity, and that doesn't mean it costs you subversive comedy or any of those things, and that edge is there, and it's that high bar you set. And that's why I did the Jay Leno thing. I just, I effing snapped. As for Jay Leno, he recently spoke to WCVB. Jay was explaining that you can truly call yourself a stand-up comedian when you're able to support yourself and your family doing it, but he also cautions Boston comedians should not remain content headlining in Boston. There are a few guys that never got out of that city. Jay explained, I always tell comedians, when you start to make it in Boston, get out of there, because you'll wind up having a Boston-based act. You got jokes about Kenmore Square and the Citgo sign, and you leave New England, and nobody knows what you're talking about. Comics, including myself, are inherently lazy. You got something that works, you just stay there. Well, no, you got to leave. Because you got to have something that works everywhere, and that's really the trick, to get as broad based as you can. Howie Mandel spoke to Baltimore Positive about getting Deal or No Deal. He said, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to be a game show host, and I didn't see the game in it. I mean, there's no trivia, there's no skill, it's just opening up cases. My wife made me take the deal. I did the game, and it's probably the most successful thing I've done to date. So I think Steve Harvey owes me a thank you, because until I did Deal or No Deal, no comedians were doing what we're doing game shows. And I think every game show now is hosted by a comedian. I think the game's got to be good, too. I think there has to be a good game, and then somebody who understands what the game is. I didn't even understand what the game is. I just wanted what worked for me on Deal or No Deal. It's my empathy. I wanted anybody that was playing the game to leave in a better place than they had entered. I wanted them all to do well. A couple of weeks ago, it's been nice and busy, so I've bounced this a few times. The New York Times had some Asian American comedians talk about who influenced them. Hasan Minhaj says Russell Peters' 2004 Comedy Now special is one of the most seminal pieces of work for Asian American comedy in the modern stand-up comedy landscape. I'm aware Russell Peters from Canada. Let's not bog down on that. Hasan says the thing gets uploaded online during the birth of YouTube, and for the first time, the true brown perspective was broadcast to the world beyond the walled gardens of CBC, Comedy Central, or HBO. I'm a freshman in college. I'm back home over the holidays, and I'm watching this YouTube clip. My entire family's in the living room, watching this bit with my parents, and they're howling, crying, laughing. Every voice he's doing is so spot on, so specific. People know you grew up around these people. You know exactly what you're talking about. Did you watch Matteo Lane's special? I liked it a lot. It's on Hulu. Matteo told a story about meeting Katy Perry in Las Vegas. She was very nice. She was very pretty, and she looked at me, and her manager said, "Oh, this is Matteo Lane, and he's a comic, and he's performing at the Wynn." And she goes, "Oh, a comedian." And I go, "Hey." And she goes, "Gay comedian?" I was like, "Work." I have videos of us meeting each other. It's pretty funny. Variety asked Matteo Lane about Katy Perry going to space. He says, she seems pretty out of touch, I think, at this point. I saw some interview where she was like, my mom calls me Tortoise, and the ship is called Tortoise, and things are meant to be. I'm like, you could also take all that away and just be like, hey, guys, I had a cool opportunity to go to space. I'm rich. I paid a lot of money, and it's going to be great. Just be kind of honest with what it is. I think it's overzealous and talking about how it's like, we are women, and we, and all this stuff, and Gayle King walking around being like, have you been to space? It all just felt not relatable. This next paragraph is very funny. Variety writes, Matteo didn't mind that Gayle King used a gay slur while interviewing him for CBS Morning. She made headlines when she quoted the F word from one of his jokes in the special. Lane says, I couldn't give a hoot. Gayle King can say it. Oprah can't. Every article was openly gay queer comedian. I'm like, well, first off, who's saying closeted gay comic? What is this? We're so obsessed with the idea of being like, this is an openly gay comic. People are trying to find drama. Who gives a hoot? Gayle King said the F word, oh tree. She's wearing a wig, for God's sake. Who cares? She could say it. Matteo's working on his next hour. He'll debut it in Australia after the summer and says I'll probably tour for another year and a half, then film my next special. It's fun to be working on new jokes. Feels like a get-out-of-jail-free card. I'm so excited to try things out and test things out and see what other comics think. I'll be at the Comedy Cellar every night and just working. It feels so nice. I'm free, and I can write whatever the F I want. From Book Club Chicago, your home for comedy news, Al Scorch has been reviewing public toilets. He shot a video inside a bathroom in Sherman Park and wrote, Palaces of the People, just civic gems for everybody in the city to enjoy. He critiques the functionality of the bathrooms and the unique aesthetic details. Fun tiles, intricate window design, locally made hand dryers. Apparently, the Sherman Park Fieldhouse bathroom is Scorch's favorite, but he's enjoyed all his bathroom visits. He has no plans to stop the bathroom review series anytime soon. He says, I just like doing it. But it's also like, how far can you take the bit? And from cyclingweekly.com, your alternate source for comedy news, comedian Sebastian Fowler covered 3,333 miles across 11 states in 80 days, pedaling a 20-inch BMX bike loaded with 27 kilograms of gear. Fowler says, you might laugh at this, but when I thought about riding across America, I figured it was about 3,000 miles. I rode my bike downtown from my house in Ocean Beach to downtown San Diego. That was about 10 miles, and I thought, if I do that 300 times, that's the whole trip. And that's the mentality I went with. He headed out in February on a Sunday Odyssey BMX bike wearing Vans slip-on Damn Daniel SK8 Pros and began pedaling east along Interstate 8. Oh yeah, you got to find roads that are safe to do this on. Spinning with a 25x9 gearing on a 20-inch BMX bike loaded with 27 kilograms of gear was slow going. Fowler says, no one's ever done this trip on a BMX bike. No one's ever gone coast to coast on a BMX. And there's good reason for that, because it's a terrible idea and it's really hard. And that is your comedy news for today. Hope you had a nice long weekend. Back in the morning with another episode. See you then.